Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show. I know a lot of y'all believe that most people join gangs because they want to be a part of a family and all of that old kind of stuff that you hear, like the father went there, or the father was in the gang, the father, both of the parents were in prison or in gangs themselves. And in most cases, a lot of that is true. But this story is about someone that joined the gang for all the wrong reasons. Now, I don't believe that there are any right reasons to join the gang, but so understand what I'm saying and understand what I'm not saying. But the decision that this brother made changed his entire life. And there was no way that he could even see the changes that were coming for him, right? But that's what I want you to focus on when you listen to this entire series of shows about Betrayal of a Gangster. That's what this show is going to be called, Betrayal of the Gangster, right? Now, we're talking about two individuals here. Gmoney, he's already one of the guys. And his young brother named Chilli. Both of them are 20 years old. They've been knowing each other their entire lives, right? Now, Gmoney, he became a part of the fam, when he was about 15 years old. And he would always try to entice Chilli to do the same thing. But Chilli didn't want to be a part of it. He felt as though a lot of the things that you had to do to be a part of the organization were things that he just really didn't want to participate in. When you are young and you become part of the organization or any organization, they ask you to do a lot of silly things, right? Things that put you at risk, things that might go against what your parents have raised you to do. And that was Chilli's situation. But he was real good friends with Gmoney. Like I said, they've been friends for years. Gmoney was the type of brother that always liked to entice and provoke the opposition. No matter where they were at, whatever they had going on, if the opposition was out there or they were wearing a different color, he always wanted to start problems with them, creating issues that didn't even have to be created. But at the end of the day, whenever he was out doing these things, Chilli was always with him. And one of their favorite hangout spots was at the sneaker shop at the mall. They used to hang out there all the time. And some of the other opposition, these younger brothers, all of them went to high school together. They just happened to be in different groups and all this and that. But all of them used to hang out at the sneaker shop at the mall, buying sneakers, just hanging out, listening to music and stuff like that. It had that type of ambiance where, young people would hang out. And the people that owned the store, they didn't mind that, So they were just cool to have people in there, and sometimes they would make sales, sometimes they wouldn't. But they didn't mind the people that were hanging out there because it helped bring clients into the shop. Now, one day, Gmoney, he wanted to get under the skin of this opposition, right? So he just kept antagonizing them, throwing up gang signs and talking crazy and doing all of these types of things that will get you in trouble with the opposition. Because if they were doing it to him, he'd get upset. But see, he didn't care because he felt like, he could whoop dude, so he kept on doing it, right? So here's the thing about that. When he was throwing up these gang signs, what he didn't realize is that a lot of the individuals that were in there, as far as the opposition was concerned, they were in leadership. So they told the other young gang members, look here, take care of that. So when they approached Gmoney, Chilli's right there. When they approached Gmoney, they told him, man, look, cut that out. It's going to be a problem. And then they hit him up with some signs. You know how you going back and forth. It's kind of like, break dancing back in the day, right? And one group will break dance and then the other group will get up and break dance, and they trying to show each other up, right? But that's kind of how it is when you hitting up gang signs, okay? When you hitting up gang signs, you just letting it be known that the other side ain't nothing, and you hitting back, letting them know that they ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like dissing one another. So when the op start dissing Gmoney, he gets mad. He can't take it. So he pushes one of them. And when he pushes one of them, the rest of them jump. It's like 4-on-2. Him and Chilli, and then it's 4 the op. They jump on him. They fight. Now, Gmoney and Chilli, they holding their own, right? But you got to keep in mind, it's 4-on-2. So you can't be everywhere at the same time when you're fighting that many people, right? It's going down. And the owner of the sneaker shop, he telling them, stop, get out. And all this and that. The police is on the way. So they all run and they leave. And everybody gets away. Now, Gmoney, he pissed. He pissed off at the fact that, he just got scraped up a little bit. It ain't like he got beat down bad, but he got scraped up a little bit by the opposition. You know what I'm saying? Shirt torn and all this and that. And they all had to run. So he felt like, there was more work to do. He wanted to take care of them. So he went back to the leadership. And fam told him, look here, we know you. You probably started it. Leave that alone. We ain't got time for childish games like that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Now, let me tell you something about being a part of the org, right? They don't like undue heat. Now, I know you have a lot of brothers out there that be doing all kinds of nonsense, right? But when you have the right leadership that's about their bread and all that, they don't like all that undue heat. They will hurt you for messing things up like that. Go to the mall, buy your sneakers, hang out. You ain't got to be doing all that other stuff, right? So when he come back, D-Money come back and he tell him what happened to him, he leaves out that part, but they know him. And they tell him, look, chill, leave that alone. So he's been told to stand down. But that's not good enough. It's not good enough for D-Money. He don't want to stand down. So he goes about his business trying to figure out a way to get back at the opposition. Now because he's pissed. He done took a little butt whooping. It wasn't nothing major though. So now he talking to Chilli. He trying to gas Chilli up, telling him we need to take care of that. But Chilli tell him, look here, man, let's leave that alone, man. Let's go on, because they had a party coming up that later on in that week. And Chilli wanted to go to the party. It's going to be all kind of individuals there, right? See, in this particular town, right, they had this one club where it's like neutral. Anybody can go, whether you were one side or the other. So everybody's there. And the owner really didn't allow you to have no guns up in there. They patting you down at the door, making sure that anybody that come up in there is not armed with no guns. So D-Money plots, he said, that's when it's going to happen. He said, when they come out of the club, he said, I'm going to spray them. But Chilli telling them, chill, man, we're going to leave this alone. We don't need to be doing none of this, right? But D-Money don't want to hear that. He don't want to hear none of that. So a couple of days go by and he's plotting and planning. He gets in a little strap and he's ready to take care of his business. And he keeps trying to talk Chilli into it, but Chilli is adamant about leaving that alone, right? He's even gotten to the point to where he's thinking about not even going to the party with D-Money. He's going to show up, but he's going to show up by himself because he don't want the opposition to believe that he's a part of anything that's about to go down because he's seen this stuff don't always end the way people say it's going to end. So he don't want no parts of that. But he's stuck with Chilli, and he's going to stick with him from here on out, and he's riding with him. He's stuck with D-Money. Chilli stuck with D-Money. He's going to ride with him. So here we go. That weekend comes up, and they go to the party. Now, they get to the party. Everybody's there. Everybody's there. So they're getting patted down, and it's a pretty big old club. Pretty big old club. It's got an upstairs and a downstairs. It's got all different restrooms. It's got a part in the back where, a lot of the VIP individuals go back there with their gals and everybody's having party in private booths and all this and that. It's a nice establishment. It's a nice establishment. But when D-Money and Chilli get to the party, they get in and everybody's chilling, right? Everybody's having fun. Chilli keeps watching D-Money. He knows he can't have no weapon on him at this time because they done patted him down. So he's up in there. He's acting like everything is cool. And he peeps the op. He sees them. And when they see him, see them, they walk towards this alleyway. It's inside the club, but it's in the back. It's like a hallway. So they walk, enticing him to follow them. So he's following them down the hall because in his mind, ain't nobody got no weapon. So let's get it. So he follows them down the hall because he really wants to provoke them so that he'll be justified in what it is that he's going to do when everybody leaves the club. So he walks down this long hallway and he's looking at him. He's talking crazy. They talking crazy to him. Everybody throwing gang signs up back and forth with each other. Now, Chilli didn't follow him. He's telling him to leave that alone, but he's not really worried about it because he knows nobody has a weapon and the owner, he got security positioned everywhere and ain't nobody finna be doing nothing and get in there and get away with it. They're going to get thrown out. So they go down the hallway. Chilli's in the club, chilling on the dance floor, dancing with a female. 2 or 3 minutes go by. He don't see D-Money. So he gets curious. He gets curious about what's going on. So he decides to walk down this hallway itself to see what's really going on. And when he goes down the hallway, he notices this restroom is open. And he walks back there and he looks inside. And when he looks inside, he sees something that makes him back up. And when he backed up and hit the wall. He slid down the wall and he started crying. Then he sat there for a second. He got himself together and he stood back up. And when he stood back up, it was 2 or 3 people that ran by him. And he's in a daze now. He's in a fog. He's not really sure what to do now. And when he goes into the restroom, he sees his friend Gmoney laying on the restroom floor. Blood is coming out of him. And he's asking him, what happened? What's wrong? What's going on? Why did you come back here? He's asking him all kinds of questions. And Gmoney is just staring up at him, looking at him. He's not gone, but he got this glassy look in his eyes, and he's looking at him, and he says, I don't want to die. And he's telling him to hold on, you're going to be all right. He said, I got to go get you some help. So Chilli runs up out of the restroom, and he goes and he finds the nearest security guard. He said, man, somebody been hurt in the restroom. You got to call the ambulance. So the security guard, he follows Chilli back to the restroom. He sees Gmoney laying on the floor. The security guard leans down and he puts his hands on the side of his neck trying to find a pulse. There ain't no pulse. Ain't no pulse. He's gone. But he calls for the ambulance anyway, and then he calls to the police and he lets the owner know what's going on. Now they shut the club down. Everybody leaves. They're gone. Everybody's gone. Now the police are there, they're asking questions. They're talking to Chilli because Chilli, the owner made Chilli stay there because he's the one that found him. So they talking to Chilli. They said, what happened? What's going on? And then the street code kicked in. He didn't say nothing. He didn't say a word about what really happened. He didn't tell anybody what happened. So they took Gmoney's body out, put him on the stretcher, put him in the ambulance and left. Took him to the hospital. They pronounced him dead on the way, even though he was already gone. Already gone. Got to the hospital, they called his parents and told his parents that they needed to come down and identify the body so that they can make sure that this was who everybody was saying it was, because Chilli told them who he was and what his government name was and who his parents were and all this and that. So they're just trying to make sure, as protocol, get the family members down so they can tell you if this is their child or not. So when his parents get down there, they see him laying on that cold slab in the morgue, right? And they look at him. And when they seen him, his mother started to cry. And she leaned down and she put her hand on his face and she kissed his forehead and she ran her hand across his body because they had taken his clothes off, preparing him to be clean, right? So he still had dried blood on his body. So she ran her hand across his body and she saw all of these stab wounds. And she said, what happened to you? What happened to my son? In the corner, he's just standing there, he's looking at it. He said, I'm going to find out, ma'am. I'm going to find out what happened to him. He said, you can trust that. And her husband, he held her while she cried and walked her out of the morgue. And once they got out of the morgue, they went home. Now, Chilli, he's at the house. He's crying. He's messed up in the head. He don't know what to do. He's trying to figure out, what did he just see? What did he just see? Now, everybody knows that Gmoney and Chilli are thick and the thieves and they hang together, right? But at this time, Chilli is trying to figure out what his next move needs to be. He's confused. He's really confused. And he don't want to say nothing about what it is that he saw. Something tells him to keep his mouth shut. And if he says anything, he's afraid that it could backfire on him. It could get him in trouble. He don't understand what to do. The streets got a different set of rules. This your partner. Where was you at? Y'all went to the club together. Where were you at? See, he hung around Gmoney, so he don't know how the other gangsters will respond to him not being there, especially them knowing that these two individuals ran together. They were raised together. So now he don't want to tell them what really happened because he's scared of what might happen to him. He's spooked. So he keeps his mouth shut. But when the gangsters bump down on him, they know this is Gmoney's partner. They bump down on him. They say, tell us what happened. He keeps his mouth shut. Keeps his mouth shut. So a couple of the other gangsters told him, said, look here, we heard he had a problem with the opposition at the mall. Is that true? He told them, yeah, that's true. He said, do you think any of them had anything to do with it? He kept his mouth shut. He kept his mouth shut. He wouldn't say anything. But they concluded on their own because they understand how the streets go, that it had to be them. It had to be them. So they were ready to retaliate. And then see, that's when Chilli, that's when Chilli told him, he said, look, I want to go with you. They said, you can't go with us. You're a peon. We don't do that. He said, you got to be a part of us if you want to do this. So he told them he wanted to get down that night. So they ran it up the pole real fast because they looked like, hey, this is D-Money's partner. If he want to get down, let's get him down so we can use him to take care of the business. Let him put in work. So they ran it up the chain real fast and got the word to run that. Because, see, they had heard about Chilli. D-Money been talking about him for the longest to the fam, and the fam understood who he was. They just didn't understand why he hadn't gotten down yet. Now that he wanted to get down, he could get down, and then he could put in some work for them. So they put him down. It took about a week, but they put him down. And now it's time to retaliate. So they bumped down. They bumped down on the opposition, right? They didn't care who it was, but it was the opposition. They don't know if they got the right person or not, but it was the opposition. They bumped down on them and sprayed the whole block. 2 people fall down. They laying down. It's over with. Somebody called the coroner. The police hears about it. They hear about it. Chilli's name comes up along with a couple other gangsters. They bumped down on him. And his problem was he didn't know the streets. See, they had a description of the clothing that they were wearing. See, the opposition, let me tell you something, the opposition on that particular corner, some of the people that were out there, right, part of the opposition, they told the police what they were wearing, told them what type of car they was driving and everything. And when they bumped down on Chilli, just because they put, that's police work. See, they had some people telling them enough of the story that they put it together and said this must be retaliation for D-Money being killed. So they bumped down on Chilli, his friend. They knew. And when they saw that he had the same clothes in his bedroom, they told him that they were going to take those clothes and test them for gunshot residue. It was all over it. And when they got him down to the police station, he cracked. He cracked. And he told them that he had done it. He told them he did it for D-Money. But see, we got a problem here. But see, because the witnesses said there was other people involved. Now they want to know who else was involved. And he said it was just me. They knew he was lying, but hey, they wanted to close the books on the case. Better to get one than none. So they popped him down. Popped him down, y'all. And he pled guilty. He pled guilty to 2 counts of second-degree murder, not first-degree murder. And they gave 20 years on each one. 20-year-old man just got a nice 40 on his way. About that life, huh? Now he on his way. His mom and daddy, they are outraged. They like, what happened to you? Why did you do this? Because they had guided him the right way. He just wouldn't walk away from D-Money. That was his friend. But see, now he's on his way to the big house because he's in the big leagues now. And his whole life is about to change. If you want to hear how that changes, you got to tune in to the next episode, right? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I'm getting so tired.